The salt spray on Alex's face was the first sensation that registered, cold and sharp, pulling him from the chaotic dream of a ship tearing itself apart. He coughed, salt water burning his throat, and slowly, painfully pushed himself up. His head throbbed, a drum solo played by a particularly aggressive percussionist. Around him, the beach was a testament to the night's fury. Debris from the azure horizon, a pleasure cruise turned aquatic nightmare, was scattered like a child's discarded toys. Life rafts, splintered planks, suitcases ripped open to reveal mundane intimacies. And bodies. No, he refused to look. He squeezed his eyes shut. This isn't real. This is the nightmare. When he opened them again, the reality remained, stark and unforgiving. He was on a beach, a deserted beach. The sand was impossibly white, the ocean an aggressive turquoise. Palm trees, impossibly green, swayed inland, their fronds whispering secrets he didn't want to hear. "Hello?" His voice cracked, a reedy whisper against the vastness. Only the roar of the surf answered him. Panic, cold and nauseating, began to curl in his stomach. He was Alex, an average high school student whose biggest challenge a week ago was a calculus test. Now he was, what? Stranded? Alone? Then he saw her. A splash of bright yellow amidst the dark wreckage. Elara Vance, his classmate. Quiet, usually found with her nose in a book, often looking vaguely amused by the chaos of their shared existence. She was lying near a partially submerged lifeboat, her face pale, a trickle of blood drying on her temple. "Elara!" He stumbled towards her, his legs like jelly. He knelt, checking for a pulse. A weak, thready beat under his fingers. Relief so potent it made him gasp washed over him. She was alive, one less body on this desolate shore. He managed to drag her further up the beach, away from the encroaching tide, propping her against a sturdy palm tree. He splashed water on her face from a half-broken thermos he found. Her eyelids fluttered, then opened, revealing eyes the color of moss after a spring rain. "Alex?" Her voice was raspy, laced with a bewildered weariness, and she looked at the wreckage, then at him, then at the vast, empty ocean. What happened?" "Shipwreck," Alex mumbled, the word tasting like ash. "The azure horizon, it hit something. A reef, maybe." Elara slowly sat up, wincing. She touched her temple, her fingers coming away stained red. "Right," she said, her voice growing stronger if still shaky. She scanned the horizon. No sign of land? No other survivors? "Just us, it seems," Alex said, a profound sense of despair settling over him. "We're stranded on a deserted island with no way back." He slumped against the tree next to her, burying his face in his hands. "This is it. We're gonna die here. Eaten by crabs or starved or, I don't know, stung by giant jellyfish." He was picturing his mom's face, the calculus test he'd never get to retake. His pathetic life, ending on a generic tropical island. Oh, the irony. Just as the last vestiges of hope threatened to drain from his soul, a faint, almost ethereal blue glow flickered at the edge of his vision. It hovered, shimmering, then solidified into text,
floating directly before his eyes, as if projected onto the very air. Alex blinked. He blinked again. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his palm. The text remained, vibrant and undeniably real. "Are you seeing this?" he croaked, pointing a trembling finger at the glowing words. Alara, who had been quietly watching him, merely raised an eyebrow. "The floating blue text that just called you pathetic? Yes, I see it." Her tone was remarkably calm. "Survival system, it says." Alex stared at her. "You're not freaking out?"
"Freaking out won't get us off this island, Alex," she replied, a faint smile playing on her lips. "Besides, I've always found a good challenge invigorating." He felt a sudden urge to slap her, then hug her. He settled for staring at the system text again. "Pathetic, but potential detected," he muttered. "Well, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement, is it?" He cautiously reached out a hand. His fingers passed through the text as if it were air, yet it felt solid, irrefutable. He remembered the prompt, "Press E to open system interface." He closed his eyes, imagined pressing E, like on his gaming keyboard. System interface opened. A more elaborate screen unfurled before him. Alexander Thorne, level 1. HP 100 out of 100. Stamina 80 out of 100. Slightly exhausted. Skills, basic observation. Passive, enhances perception of surroundings, identifies useful resources. Inventory, empty. Quests, empty. System notes, begin by performing basic survival actions to earn experience, skills, and resources.
"Experience?" Alex scoffed, a nervous laugh escaping him. "This isn't a game system. This is real life. We're stranded." "Life is the ultimate game, Alexander Thorne. You merely lacked the proper interface until now. Begin." The audacity of it! He wanted to rage, to throw something. But Alara's calm gaze was on him. "It's a gift, Alex," she said softly. "Or a curse. Either way, it's something. And pathetic, as it called you, it seems to think you can do something with it." He looked around. What was the most basic survival action? Food? Water? Shelter? "Okay," Alex said, pushing himself to his feet. "Shelter. We need shelter. Something to keep us out of the sun, maybe some rain." He looked at the palm trees. "Palm fronds. Can we weave them or something?" Action. Observe palm tree. Basic observation successful. Palm tree. Coconut variant. Source of wood, trunk. Thatch, fronds. Food/drink, coconuts. Potential skill gain. Basic foraging. Basic carpentry. "Okay, system. Loud and clear," Alex mumbled. He walked to a fallen palm frond, large and stiff. He tried to tear a smaller piece off to see how pliable it was. It resisted. He tugged harder. Action. Gather palm fronds. Attempt failed. Requires cutting tool or higher strength.
Right, of course, he groaned. He looked at the debris. A tool. We need a tool. His eyes scanned the beach. There were rocks, smooth and rounded by the ocean, not exactly chisels. Then, glinting among some splintered wood, he saw it. A piece of metal, sharp-edged, probably from the ship's galley. It was rusty, but it was sharp. Aha! He snatched it up. It fit awkwardly in his hand, a crude knife. Item gained: rusty shard, crude knife. Durability: low. Damage: very low. System note: better than nothing, you resourceful savage. Alex chose to ignore the system's snark. He returned to the palm fronds, carefully, painstakingly hacking away at the tougher stalks. It took effort. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Each cut was slow, deliberate. Action: gather palm fronds, ×1. Experience gained, 5. Basic foraging skill progress, 5%. Action: gather palm fronds, ×1. Experience gained, 5. Basic foraging skill progress, 10%. He gathered about 20 fronds, stacking them clumsily. Then he started to weave them together as he vaguely remembered seeing someone do in a survival show once. It was harder than it looked. The fronds kept slipping, tearing. Action: attempt basic shelter construction. Attempt failed. Requires higher basic carpentry skill or proper binding material.
Great, he muttered, throwing his hands up. What next? Do I need to earn basic knot tying? He glanced at Alara. She was still sitting, quietly observing. A small notebook she'd apparently salvaged clutched in her hand, writing furiously with the stub of a pencil. "You're writing about this?" he asked, incredulous. "Observations," she replied without looking up. "The system, its parameters, the island's flora and fauna. It's fascinating. You should be doing the same." Alex sighed. "I'm busy trying not to die, Alara." "Part of not dying is understanding your environment, Alex," she pointed out, then pushed herself up. "I'll help. What do we need?" "Vines," Alex said, feeling a surge of something akin to gratitude. They ventured inland a little, Alex hacking through some thick undergrowth with his rusty shard, Alara carefully pointing out potential vines. Action: gather vine, ×1. Experience gained, 3. Basic foraging skill, progress, 15%. After about an hour, they had a decent pile of fronds and a bundle of strong, pliable vines. Alex, feeling slightly more confident, started to construct a lean-to against a cluster of sturdy trees. He used a thick branch he found as a crossbeam, lashing the fronds to it with the vines. It was crude, ugly, and probably wouldn't survive a strong gust of wind, but it was something. Alex grinned, a genuine, unadulterated grin. "I leveled up, and I got an attribute point?" He opened his system interface. Alexander Thorne, Level 2, HP 100 out of 100, Stamina 75 out of 100, Moderately exhausted. Attributes: Strength 1, Default, Dexterity 1, Default, Constitution 1, Default, Intelligence 1, Default, Wisdom 1, Default, Unspent attribute points 1. Skills: Basic Observation, Passive, Basic Foraging, Level 1, Basic Carpentry, Level 1. What do I put it in? Alex wondered aloud. Strength, so I can chop better? Or Constitution, so I don't get sick from whatever bug bites me? I'd suggest Constitution initially. Alara chimed in, leaning against their new shelter, which sagged precariously. Resilience is paramount. You can always improve strength through physical labor. Alex nodded. Her logic was sound. He mentally allocated the point to Constitution. Attribute point allocated to Constitution. Constitution increased to 2. HP regeneration rate slightly increased. Resistance to minor ailments improved. "This is insane," Alex said, but there was a flicker of excitement in his eyes. This is actually useful. Their first night in the lean-to was surprisingly peaceful, punctuated only by the distant roar of the ocean and the unfamiliar chirping of unseen insects. Alex, despite his initial terror, felt a strange sense of accomplishment. He had a roof over his head, even if it was made of leaves. And he had Alara, a calm presence who seemed to accept their bizarre situation with unsettling grace. Part 2. The Island's Embrace and the Whisper of Power. The next few days blurred into a cycle of struggle and surprising success. The system was relentless, prompting Alex with notifications, rewarding his every effort. He learned to crack coconuts with a sharp rock. Skill gained, basic coconut opening, level 1. Finally. He discovered edible berries. Skill gained, advanced foraging, level 1. Eat responsibly. Some berries are delicious. Others are death in disguise. He even managed to fashion a rudimentary fishing spear from a sharpened stick and some more vines. Action. Attempt fishing with crude spear. Attempt failed. Dexterity too low. Requires more practice. Come on, Alex grumbled, splashing water in frustration. He'd spent an hour trying to stab a fish with 0 success. He put his next attribute point, earned from gathering firewood, into dexterity. Attribute point allocated to dexterity. Dexterity increased to 2. He tried again. This time, he managed to nick a small, iridescent fish. It wasn't much, but it was progress. Action. Catch small fish. X1. Experience gained. 10. Basic fishing skill progress. 10%. System note. From 0 to hero, 1 tiny fish at a time. Alara, meanwhile, proved to be an invaluable asset. While Alex focused on the physical tasks, chopping wood, hunting, building, she meticulously cataloged the island's resources, drawing maps in her notebook and even experimenting with different plant fibers to create stronger ropes. She didn't have a system, as far as Alex could tell, but her keen intellect and calm demeanor were just as powerful. I think these leaves, when dried and pounded, could create a fine mesh for a net, she'd say, holding up a peculiar broadleaf. Alex would then try to implement her ideas, often fumbling initially, but eventually the system would guide him or grant him relevant skill. Their camp slowly transformed. The flimsy lean-to became a sturdy, palm-thatched hut, complete with a small, stone-lined fire pit. Alex, with his newfound basic carpentry skills, even fashioned a crude but functional workbench. Item crafted. Crude workbench. Allows for more efficient crafting of basic tools. Skill gained. Basic crafting, level 1. Next, a desperate attempt at cultivation. They found strange, potato-like tubers deep in the jungle. Alex, guided by the system, cleared a small patch of land near a freshwater stream Alara had discovered. Action. Cultivate primitive crop. Tubers. Experience gained, Thefty. Skill gained, Basic Agriculture, Level 1. System note: a farmer's work is never done. Enjoy your future bland tubers. Bland is better than starving, system, Alex retorted, wiping dirt from his brow. He was starting to talk back to it more often. One afternoon, while exploring further inland for more fertile soil, Alex stumbled upon something truly bizarre. The jungle, usually a riot of green, gave way to a clearing where the trees were twisted into impossible, spiraling shapes, their bark glowing with a faint, pulsing blue light. In the center stood a jagged, obsidian monolith, humming with a low, resonant frequency. Area discovered: Whispering Grove. System note: high concentration of unknown energy. Approach with caution, or reckless abandon. Your choice, really. What in the actual, Alex breathed, his jaw slack. He'd thought the island was just a big, fancy jungle, but this was definitely fantasy. Ilara caught up to him, her eyes wide as she took in the scene. She reached out, almost involuntarily, towards one of the glowing trees. It's incredible. Alex felt a strange tingling sensation in his fingertips as he approached the monolith. He reached out, his hand hovering inches from the slick, cold stone. Action: interact with unknown monolith. Attempt failed. Requires higher magical affinity or specific key. Passive skill gained, Mana Sense, Level 1. Allows perception of ambient magical energies. System note: stick with what you know, Alex. Not everything is a nail to be hammered. Mana Sense, Alex whispered, closing his eyes. He focused, and suddenly the world shifted. He could feel the energy radiating from the monolith, a vibrant, thrumming pulse, like a giant heart beating beneath the island. He could see faint currents of blue light flowing through the very air, invisible before. The glowing trees were practically bursting with it. I can feel it, he said, opening his eyes and looking at Ilara, whose expression was unreadable. It's like electricity, but different. Alive. Interesting, Ilara murmured, still observing the glowing trees. My readings from this area were off the charts. It suggests a significant source of power.
Your readings? Alex asked, confused. What readings? Ilara merely smiled, a fleeting, enigmatic expression. Just observations, Alex, like yours. But there was a knowing glint in her eyes that sent a shiver down his spine. She wasn't just observing, she was analyzing. Over the next few weeks, Alex truly began to turn the island into his kingdom. He crafted sturdy tools, stone axes, flint knives, even a functional bow and arrow. He leveled up his combat skills, learning to hunt the island's strange but mostly non-aggressive fauna. He built a small, palisaded perimeter around their growing settlement, a crude but effective defense. He discovered more ancient-looking ruins, each filled with subtle hints of forgotten magic, though he couldn't access them yet. His body transformed. The flabby, slightly too pale teenager was replaced by a lean, sun-bronzed survivor. His movements were fluid, his senses sharp. He had Strength 5, Dexterity 5, Constitution 6, Intelligence 3, Wisdom 3. He even had a new combat skill, Basic Wilderness Combat Level 1, and Basic Archery Level 1. His most prized possession, crafted after countless hours and dozens of failed attempts, was a refined stone axe, durability, good, damage, medium. It was a far cry from the rusty shard. Life had a rhythm.
Wake up with the sun, tend the crops, hunt or fish, gather resources, expand the base, explore, level up, sleep. It was hard, but it was fulfilling in a way his old life never was. And Alara was always there, a quiet, intelligent presence. She taught him about edible plants that the system hadn't identified, helped him map the island, and offered insightful advice on tactics and resource management. Sometimes he'd catch her staring at him, a strange, calculating look in her eyes. "You're changing, Alex," she'd say, not unkindly. "The system is shaping you, yes, but you're also embracing it."
"What's not to embrace?" he'd respond, gesturing around their thriving camp. "Look at this, Alara. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. This island, it's ours now." "Is it?" she'd say, her gaze drifting towards the impenetrable jungle, then further to the distant, shimmering peak of the highest mountain on the island. "Or are we simply playing a role assigned to us?" His sense of humor returned too. When a particularly stubborn vine refused to be cut, he'd imagine the system sighing at him. When he finally caught a tricky fish, he'd preen, waiting for the inevitable, slightly sarcastic praise. System note: one day perhaps you'll manage to catch something that fights back. Don't hold your breath. "Oh, you just wait, system," he'd mutter, grinning. "I'll catch a kraken just for you." He felt powerful, invincible even. He was becoming a master of survival, a king of this island. Nothing could stop him. Nothing.
Part 3. The Ascent, the Betrayal, and the Truth. The Whispering Grove had become a source of intense fascination for Alex. With his mana sense, he could perceive the energy flowing from the monolith, and it felt like a key to something greater. He spent days trying to figure out how to interact with it, gathering strange glowing crystals he found nearby, experimenting with different crafting recipes the system suggested. Action: craft mana conduit crude. Attempt failed. Requires higher magical affinity, specific materials, and a mana core. A mana core? Where am I supposed to get one of those, from a fantasy supermarket? Alara, who was observing his futile efforts, looked up from her notebook. Perhaps the higher regions of the island, Alex, where the energy is most concentrated. The highest peak on the island was always shrouded in mist, hinting at something ancient and mysterious. It was also the most dangerous part of the island, teeming with creatures Alex had only seen glimpses of, large shadowy forms moving through the dense jungle. But the thought of a mana core spurred him on. He needed more power. He needed to understand the island. He prepared for days. He crafted better armor from cured hides, stronger arrows with sharpened flint tips, and even a new, formidable flint blade with high damage and excellent durability. He stocked up on provisions. "Are you sure about this, Alex?" Alara asked the night before they set out, her voice unusually subdued. "The peak, it feels different, not just dangerous." "This whole island feels different, Alara," Alex replied, a determined glint in his eye. "But we have the system. We have my skills. We'll be fine." He was level 15 now, practically a demigod of survival. The ascent was grueling. The jungle grew thicker, the trees more gnarled, the air colder. Strange bioluminescent fungi lit their path at night. The creatures they encountered were tougher, more aggressive. Alex fought off gigantic spiders whose webs shimmered with arcane energy, and aggressive boar-like beasts with tusks like polished obsidian. Action: defeat Alpha Razorback, X1.
Experience gained 500. Level up. Alexander Thorne is now level 16. Skill gained. Advanced Wilderness Combat level 1. System note. Good job, you didn't die. This time. Elara, surprisingly, was more adept at navigating the treacherous terrain than he expected. She seemed to instinctively know which paths were safer, which plants were edible, even which strange calls in the night belonged to harmless creatures and which signaled danger. She moved with an almost ethereal grace, her quiet efficiency a stark contrast to Alex's booming confidence. After nearly a week of climbing, they finally broke through the mist. They stood on a wide, flat plateau near the summit, surrounded by towering crystal formations that pulsed with the same blue light as the Whispering Grove, but infinitely brighter, more potent. The air thrummed with raw magical energy. In the center of the plateau stood a colossal, ancient structure half buried in the earth. It was clearly artificial, made of the same obsidian as the monolith, but on a grander scale. At its heart, a cavern yawned open, radiating intense power. Action. Discovered the heart of Aethel. System note. Congratulations, Alex. You found the big one. What now, genius? This must be it, Alex breathed, awestruck. He felt the mana sense tingling violently through his entire body. This was where the mana core would be. They ventured into the cavern. It was vast, echoing, lined with more glowing crystals. In the very center, hovering above a pedestal of intricate alien design, was a sphere of pure, swirling blue energy. It pulsed with an almost blinding light, radiating power that made Alex's teeth ache. Action. Discovered the mana core of Aethel. System note. Handle with care. Also, don't drop it on your foot. Alex reached for it, his hand trembling. This was it. This was the ultimate power-up. With this, he could unlock the monolith, perhaps even control the island's magic. He would truly be king. But as his fingers brushed the energy sphere, Elara spoke, her voice clear and resonant in the cavern. "Don't touch it, Alex."
He froze, turning to her. Her face was no longer calm, no longer simply observant. Her eyes, usually moss green, glowed with the same vibrant blue as the mana core. Her posture had shifted, become taller, more commanding. The quiet classmate was gone. In her place stood someone, something else. "Elara?" Alex asked, a cold dread seeping into his heart. "What are you talking about? This is what we came for." She stepped forward, her every movement radiating an unseen power. "This is what you came for, Alex. This is what you were programmed to come for." Warning: hostile entity detected. Entity name: Elara Vance, System Guardian, Overseer. Threat level: catastrophic. System note: well, this is awkward. My apologies for the oversight, user. Should have seen that coming. Alex stared at the glowing words, then back at Elara. System Guardian? Overseer? What are you talking about? Elara sighed, a sound of ancient weariness. My real name isn't Elara Vance, Alex. That was just a convenient identity. I am Unit 7, a guardian of the Ethel system. My purpose is to guide suitable candidates through the initiation process to ensure the next guardian is worthy. Initiation process? Suitable candidate? You mean the shipwreck? The system? It was all fake? A test? The shipwreck was an unfortunate but necessary catalyst. The Azure Horizon was never meant to reach its destination. It was designed to bring potential candidates to Ethel. You, Alex, were one of the more promising specimens. Lazy, easily distracted, but with a latent resilience and an unexpected adaptability. And the survival system activated message, the levels, the skills, all part of the trial. The system is the core interface of Ethel. It measures your progress, rewards your ingenuity, and shapes you. Every skill you've gained, every level you've achieved was a step towards this moment. You had to prove you could master survival, adapt to this environment, and ultimately claim the mana core. "My kingdom," Alex whispered, the words tasting like ash. "It was all a puppet show, and I was the puppet." "A very effective puppet, Alex. You turned a barren island into a thriving haven. You learned quickly. Embrace the power. You are, in essence, ready." "Ready for what?" he demanded, his hand instinctively going to his flint blade. "To become the next guardian of Ethel. To merge with the mana core, to become one with the system, and to watch over this world until a new candidate arrives to challenge you." "Merge? Become one with the system?" Alex looked at the swirling mana core, then at Alara. "You mean become like you?" A flicker of something, pity, regret, crossed Alara's face. "I am merely a temporary interface. My purpose is fulfilled when a new guardian is chosen. I will then disappear, return to the source." "So you're saying I have to die to become a giant blue glowy ball of energy trapped here forever just to watch over an island that apparently isn't even real?" Alex scoffed, the humor gone from his voice, replaced with cold fury. "No way! I'm not doing it. I'm not becoming your replacement." "You don't have a choice, Alex." And Alara said for the first time her voice carried an undeniable command. The ground beneath them trembled. The crystals around them intensified their glow. "The system requires a guardian. You have proven yourself worthy. It is your destiny." "Warning, user is refusing assigned role. Initiating protocol, guardian assimilation, forceful." Alex felt a tremendous pressure, an invisible force pushing him towards the mana core. His muscles screamed. He dug his heels in, activating his advanced wilderness combat skill, trying to resist. He felt the mana sense flare, and he could see the currents of energy flowing from Alara, binding him, pulling him. "I won't," he yelled, struggling against the unseen bonds. "I built this. I earned this. It's mine." Ilara's expression hardened. "Your delusion, Alex, is precisely why a guardian is needed. To prevent such self-serving individuals from abusing Ethel's power." She raised her hand, and the force intensified. Alex was lifted off his feet, slowly, inexorably, drawn towards the humming mana core. His mind raced. His skills, his power. He was a master of survival. He had to have a way out. He looked at the system interface, still active, still offering him prompts. Skill Mana Sense, Level 5. Identify and manipulate ambient magical energy. Skill Advanced Wilderness Combat, Level 1. Enhanced offensive and defensive capabilities. Skill Basic Crafting, Level 10. Create complex tools and constructs. manipulate ambient magical energy. He focused. He tried to remember the feeling of the energy from the Whispering Grove, the thrumming from the monolith. He pushed back, not with physical strength, but with pure will, channeling the mana sense. He reached out not to the mana core, but to the glowing crystals around them. Action. Attempt mana disruption. Crystals. Mana disruption failed. Insufficient magical affinity. Damn it! He was almost at the mana core. The blue light intensified, burning his eyes. He could feel it trying to seep into his very being, promising power, but also promising oblivion. "It's over, Alex," Ilara said, her voice echoing in the cavern. "Embrace your purpose." But then the system flashed a new message. System note: while a direct mana disruption is beyond your current magical affinity, a physical disruption of the crystalline conduits may cause a temporary power surge/feedback loop, potentially overloading the Guardian's connection to the aethal system. Strategy suggested: target crystalline conduits. Alex's eyes darted to the crystals. They were enormous, but he was level 16. He had the flint blade, durability, excellent, damage, high. He had the strength 5. He had the advanced wilderness combat. He might not be able to disrupt them magically, but he could smash them. With a primal yell, Alex poured all his remaining strength and determination into a single, desperate action. He twisted in the air, leveraging the momentum of the pull towards the mana core, and kicked off the cavern wall, twisting his body. He slammed his flint blade into the nearest powering crystal with everything he had. Action. Attack crystalline conduit. Critical hit. Crystalline conduit damaged. The crystal shrieked, a high-pitched, resonant sound that vibrated through the cavern. Cracks spiderwebbed across its surface, and a shower of blue sparks erupted. Ilara gasped, her control faltering. The invisible bonds on Alex slackened. "What are you doing?" Alex roared, twisting again, ignoring the agony in his shoulder. He aimed for another crystal, driving his blade deep. Action. Attack crystalline conduit. Critical hit. Crystalline conduit heavily damaged. More shrieks, more sparks. The cavern began to tremble violently. The mana core pulsed erratically, its light flickering. "You fool! You'll destabilize the entire system!" Ilara cried, her luminous eyes wide with alarm. She moved, faster than Alex thought possible, her hands glowing as she tried to repair the damaged conduits. Alex didn't stop. He was a man possessed. He had built this life, cultivated this strength. He wasn't going to let some cosmic trickster turn him into a battery. He brought his blade down on a third crystal. Action. Attack crystalline conduit. Critical hit. Crystalline conduit shattered. Chain reaction initiated. System overload imminent. System note: well, this took an unexpected turn. Guess I was wrong about you being pathetic after all. Enjoy the fireworks. The third crystal exploded, sending shards of pure blue light scattering across the cavern. A deafening roar filled the air as the remaining crystals flared, then began to overload. The cavern walls groaned. The mana core pulsed violently, shrinking and expanding. Ilara was thrown back by the force, screaming. Her luminous eyes flickered, the blue light fading from them, leaving behind the familiar moss green. Her body slumped, her face paling. The powerful overseer was gone, replaced by the frail classmate. "Alex, stop," she whispered, her voice weak, desperate. "You'll destroy everything." "Good!" Alex yelled, his voice raw. He wouldn't become a guardian. He would rather destroy the whole damn test. He lifted his blade for a final, decisive strike. But before he could bring it down, the mana core itself shuddered, convulsed, and then, with a sound like 1,000 crashing waves, it imploded. A blinding flash of white light consumed the cavern, followed by a shock wave that threw Alex against the wall. The world went black. Epilogue: The New Kingdom. Alex woke up to the gentle lapping of waves, the familiar smell of salt and sun. He blinked, pushing himself up. He was back on the beach. Not the beach where he first woke up, but their beach, the one with the sturdy palm-thatched hut, the tidy rows of crops, the workbench, the fire pit. His kingdom. The sun was high, the ocean was calm, the jungle was green. He felt different. The system interface was gone. The blue text, the levels, the attribute points, all gone. But the skills remained. He felt the latent strength in his muscles, the sharpness of his senses, the instinct for survival. He was still the master of this island, but without the glowing guidance. He was just him. Better, stronger, wiser. He looked around for Alara. She was lying near the hut, stirring. He rushed to her side. "Alara, are you okay?" She opened her eyes. They were moss green, tired but clear. "Alex," she whispered, a genuine smile gracing her lips, a hint of her old enigmatic nature still there. You did it." "Did what?" Alex asked, confused. "You broke the cycle," she said, slowly sitting up. "The Ethel system. It was a prison for the Guardian, a test for the new one. But you destroyed the core. You broke free." She looked at her hands, then at Alex, a look of profound relief and a touch of awe on her face. I'm free too." "You mean you're not a system guardian anymore?" "I don't know what I am, but I don't feel the pull. No directives, no purpose other than my own." She looked at him, truly looked at him, and for the first time he saw not an overseer, but the girl who had calmly accepted their fate on the beach. "You saved us both, Alex." He looked at the peaceful island. The destruction of the monocore had, somehow, reset everything, or perhaps simply severed the island's control over them. He was still stranded, yes, but he was no longer a pawn. He was truly the king of his own domain. "So," Alex said, a grin slowly spreading across his face, a mix of his old sarcasm and new confidence. "So, no more system notes calling me pathetic?" Alara laughed, a clear bell-like sound. "I think you've proven yourself far from pathetic, Alex." She looked at the vast ocean. "What now?" Alex stood up, stretching. The old exhaustion was gone, replaced with a deep sense of contentment. He still had his skills, his knowledge, his island, and he had Alara, a companion who was no longer a mysterious handler, but a genuine friend. Now, Alex said, gazing at the horizon, a new ambition burning in his eyes. We truly turn this island into our kingdom. We explore its mysteries on our own terms. We build, we grow, and maybe, just maybe, we find a way home. But this time, it'll be our choice. Every step, every discovery, all ours. He looked at Alara, and she met his gaze, a quiet understanding passing between them. The island, once a cage, was now a canvas, and they, the reluctant castaways, were its new masters. The journey had been long, terrifying, hilarious, and ultimately liberating, and it was far from over.